Ladies and gentlemen, Rise of Kingdoms just revealed a brand new legendary ranged commander, and is he going to break the game? Let's jump in and find out what Afonso de Albuquerque Omniarch doesn't even look up the names before he hits. Get out of here. It's too early for that. Get out of here. Anyway, before we jump in, of course, what's going on, guys? If you guys appreciate breaking news for Rise of Kingdoms, drop a thumbs up down below. Really helps out the channel, and consider subscribing so you don't miss more breaking news in the future.
Hey guys, quick question. Do you ever wonder how Gandalf got his staff?
He didn't craft it himself, obviously. He's too busy screaming at hobbits and ruining their life. No, he went to a magical shop, and now you can be that shopkeeper with today's sponsor, Shop Titans. Shop Titans is a free-to-play simulation RPG that allows you to manage your own medieval shop, craft legendary swords, armor, and potions, and sell them to heroes that'll probably just lose them on their next quest. But hey, that's called job security. All right, you can also customize your shop and your avatar with the latest medieval drip. You can even join a guild to build an epic fantasy town with your friends, assuming that you have any. And hold on to your hat, folks, because Shop Titans is dropping their first new champion in 2 years. Meet a lady who's basically Medusa because she can turn people to stone just by staring at them. Send her on quests with your heroes to get powerful rewards and to turn those goblins to stone. That's right, the goblins are bricked up. Oh wait, what? Pause. And if you want to go full Medusa mode, you can get the Medusa content pass. Deck out your shop with snake inspired decor like this couch or this totally practical snake fountain. Equip your heroes with epic new weapons like the sword of the sightless. It's like the Slytherin common room in here. Use promo code Medusa from August 19th to September 19th to get a bunch of free goodies. You'll get free decorations, stamina, XP drinks, power boosters, wooden keys, and more. Download Shop Titans for free today with the link in the description for iOS, Android, or Steam, and become the medieval merchant that you've always dreamed of.
Gandalf's staff is not included.
Now, with all that out of the way, Afonso is an engineering, versatility, and support commander, so surprise surprise, he's going to be an open field commander. Who would have guessed a ranged commander would be built for the open field? Let's take a look here. The active skill is another AoE. We have another AoE ranged commander in the game with a 1000 rage requirement. If this commander's troop is not within melee range of its current target, which means if it is at ranged, it deals ranged direct damage to up to 3 enemy troops near the target with a damage factor of 800. Every additional target is reduced by 15% and reduces their damage dealt by 10% for 2 seconds. A ranged damage reduction is crazy. If this commander's troop is within range, melee range of its current target, it deals damage factor up to 3 nearby enemy troops with a damage factor of 1500 for the next 2 seconds. Up to 5 nearby allied or friendly troops take 10% less damage. So 2-second debuff isn't a game changer, but the fact that you're dealing it at range is absolutely crazy. Ranged debuffs are really powerful. You can apply debuffs to targets that you're not even taking damage from. That is really good. The next skill says this commander's siege units gain 20% march speed, 25% health, and 10% attack. Very vanilla, very good stuff here. We love to see the march speed. The third skill says whenever this commander's troop deals ranged skill damage while in ranged mode, it takes 5% less damage for the next 10 seconds. This effect can stack up to 4 times. So wow, okay, so you probably want to be pairing him with another commander that is dealing skill damage, because he himself will deal skill damage, but it is a 10-second cooldown. I assume that this will refresh every time that he, whenever he deals range skill damage, it probably refreshes that 10-second timer. That's my only guess here, to keep those stacks up. So I assume you want to pair him with another range skill damage commander to stack this up to 4 times, but 20% damage taken reduction is really good, especially for ranged, who's already pretty much only taking counterattack damage, range counterattack damage, I should say. So really good stuff here in terms of tankiness. The next skill says whenever this commander's troop launches a ranged basic attack, there is a 30% chance that if it is not within melee range, so if the target is at ranged, it deals extra range direct damage with a damage factor of 300 and reduces the target's march speed by 10% for 2 seconds. If it is within melee range of the target, it deals 500 damage and increases the target's damage received by 5% for 2 seconds. Okay, so here we see another opportunity to deal ranged skill damage. I assume that the fourth skill is going to trigger the damage taken reduction on the third skill. At the end of the day, this is just bonus free damage. The march speed reduction is not that impressive, to be honest. with you. And really a lot of the times with these skills that, you know, they have an effect that happens at melee range, it's like no one really cares about what it does at melee range. That's not why you're using them. Let's take a look at the expertise. It says whenever this commander's troop launches a ranged basic attack, there is a 50% chance. Oh, okay, so this is an enhanced version of the fourth skill. It literally just bumps the damage factor up from, oh well, it bumps the chance up from 30% to 50%. It bumps the damage up from 300 to 400, and bumps the march speed reduction up from 10% to 15%. And then if you are within melee range, it bumps the damage factor from 500 to 700, and it bumps up the damage received from 5% to 10%. So all in all, this commander seems very well rounded. But if you guys know anything about ranged commanders so far in Rise of Kingdoms, it seems to be the case that just like with melee, the AoE commanders are dominant. Okay, now they did reveal the skill animation as well, so let's take a look at what Afonso is doing with thalassocracy. Thalos, you know what, shut up. All right, boom boom, and oh, yo, he pulls up the whip. Yo, the boat pulls up behind him, the whip is here, and it just boom, just fires. Yo, that's actually so sick. The big golden boat just fires its cannons into the battlefield. I think that is absolutely epic. Let's jump into Rise of Kingdoms and see who might we pair Afonso de Albuquerque with to get the best results. Now honestly, the knee-jerk reaction for me is to look immediately at what Gonzalo is doing, right? And I know I just said that you probably want to pair him with somebody who's doing skill damage, which Gonzalo is not doing, but Gonzalo is the cream of the crop. He's currently the best commander for ranged in the entire game, and so a lot of times, no matter what the troop type is, you just pair the two best commanders of that troop type, and oftentimes you get the best outcome. And so if we look at what Cordoba is doing, one of the things that you'll notice is that Cordoba's damage factor is actually higher, but he doesn't have that debuff, right? We have Afonso doing the debuff at ranged, which is very powerful. Cordoba at ranged is dealing a 1200 damage factor, right? Which is really impressive how it's literally higher than what we see from Afonso. And I think what that tells us is that the developers realize that Cordoba is really strong. And even moving forward, I mean, when did he come into the game? He came into the game at the beginning of 2024, so we're like a year and a half since Cordoba came into the game, and his sort of successors did not take his spot, right? And now we see yet another release, and it still has less damage factor than him. So I think that just goes to show that the damage output from Cordoba was just too much in their opinion, and that's why he's been so good for so long. But if we take a look at what else does he bring to the table, well, he increases ranged smite damage, which obviously doesn't affect Afonso at all, but he gives Afonso some attack that he's kind of missing, right? Afonso has a lot of the health, and so they kind of complement each other in that way. They give each other what they do not have. Same thing with the defense here. Afonso does not have defense. We have stacks of vigilant here for more ranged smite damage as well. We don't really care too much about that. Reducing ranged counterattack damage taken is really nice. And again, remember, you're stacking damage taken reduction with Afonso as well. And so when you really think about the synergy here, like, yeah, is there synergy with the damage output? Not really, right? The types of damage don't really make sense to pair together. But remember that Afonso is a support tree commander, right? And so you could do something like Afonso primary, Cordoba secondary, and have a really good result when it just comes to, I mean, it's just double AoE. That's the name of the game for every troop type in Rise of Kingdoms so far. Now again, synergy not perfect, but double AoE is double AoE, just like back in the day when we did CPO prime primary with Liu Che secondary. Was there perfect synergy with the skills and the skill types, the types of damage? Absolutely not, right? But did it slap? Yes. Does it still work to this day? Yes. And so I think that's kind of a similar strategy that I would be looking at right now, especially if you're only running one ranged march. If you are not running more than one ranged march, you obviously are going to be splitting these commanders up, right? You want to split your AoE across two different commanders, and in that way you're probably going to keep Cordoba with our boy Gajamata. You just keep that, it's tried and true, no problems at all. And then you're probably going to take a look at what some of these skill damage commanders are doing such as Stefan or Stephen and John Hunyadi. Okay, so Stefan is interesting because of course he has the skill tree, which is just going to increase the amount of damage that you're going to output with Afonso. That's going to be very important because he has AoE. You want to maximize that damage, and you can also grab things like rejuvenate, which is going to give you more rage, so you're going to pop those active skills even faster. The expertise also gives you 10% more range skill damage whenever their troop deals range skill damage, and has a 20% chance to deal range direct damage to up to 3 enemy troops near the target with a damage factor of 500 and a 10-second cooldown. So here we have yet another way to get that 5% proc for the stacking buff on Afonso. You also of course have skill damage on Stefan as well. So all in all, I think this is a great pairing. Of course you have defense here on Stefan that you don't have on Afonso. Taking a look at somebody like John Hunyadi, this really puts things into perspective for Afonso though, right? Because Afonso deals 800 damage factor at range and has a debuff, whereas John Hunyadi deals 900 to one target, right? He also says for the next 3 seconds you deal 10% more range skill damage. So there you go, you put Afonso behind him and you've got an extra range skill damage as well. You also gain a ton of rage and attack here on the second skill. Again, the attack is really what's going to pump up that damage for Afonso. So I think this pair could be really, really good as well. A chance for more range direct damage, which is again a chance to stack that 5% buff on Afonso as well. One of the things that John Hunyadi is known for is his fourth skill, because you deal 40% more damage to troops that are less than 50%, and so that AoE on Afonso is really going to spread this. I mean, you're going to get a lot of value out of that 40% here. So all in all, I mean, and with the expertise, it's an even better third skill here for range damage factor. So I mean, honestly, I'm leaning towards I personally think the single best pairing is probably going to be Cordoba and Afonso, but I think a really close second is going to be John Hunyadi primary with Afonso secondary, because of the synergy here with the active skills. I think that's probably the way to go. When it comes to talent builds here, of course, I would say you definitely want to go ahead and grab rejuvenate. You probably want to come over here and get loose formation as well. I'm not super sold on the rest of the stuff in the kit here for a ranged commander, right? You're ideally not taking any skill damage, and then you probably would put just as many points as possible into the engineering tree from there. Honestly, yeah, the more I think about it, I think that I mean, that just makes the most sense. I can't imagine doing anything other than that. You get a lot of value out of the engineering tree, so that's pretty much it. And there's no way I'm bringing John Hunyadi to level 60 just to build the talent tree for you guys. You know what you're doing, okay? You've watched a million Omniarch videos. Just come here, and then put as many points into this tree as you can. All right, but then the question becomes, okay, well, what about the other ranged commander? And you're wondering, well, Omniarch, what are you talking about, the other ranged commander? Well, usually when we have a leadership ranged release, we see 2 ranged commanders, but we don't this time. We see 1 ranged commander, and we of course got yesterday, we had Matthias, who is a leadership garrison commander, mainly for your city. Okay, so what we can see now is that the developers seem to be shifting away from those double releases, and that's not to say that this is, you know, this could be a one-off thing, but what I suspect is happening here, and I was talking with my alliance members last night, and I think it was Gumbo that said something really important. He said, you know, I think they're going to phase out the double releases of ranged, because really the point was to catch people up, or catch ranged up to the other troop types, right? Remember, range came into the game after the game was already out for many years, and so there was already a bunch of commanders for all these other troop types, and so ranged had nothing. You had to catch up with ranged. But if you pop into the game right now, you already have 5 ranged marches, right? And so now we have an additional commander to replace one of these epic commanders. So if I were a betting man, I would say that the days of double ranged releases are over, because we don't really need it. They have kind of caught up. They are part of the meta. They're here, people are using them. We don't need a double release, and I think that that is a good thing. So I think from now on, maybe every leadership release is going to be 1 leadership, 1 ranged. I think that could be the future of this cycle. But I'm curious to know what you guys think about Afonso. I think that he is a really nice and probably pretty balanced addition to the ranged releases here. His damage factor is not as insane as Cordoba, but he does have a really nice 10% damage dealt reduction on that active skill. I think that's kind of busted. I think that the debuff there is so good. It is so supportive, and it kind of, you know, moves the needle a little bit for ranged being more support units rather than damage. Not to say that his damage won't be insane, because again, it's AoE, right? It's 800 AoE. So all in all, I think this commander is going to be meta. This is going to be most likely part of the ranged meta, in my opinion. But of course, as you guys know, I'm not a ranged player, so you guys can let me know if you're a ranged player down below what you think about Afonso. Do you think he's going to be in a single best pairing for range, or do you think that there's not enough synergy here with Cordoba's smite damage to make that be the case? And Gajamada Cordoba is going to stay the meta, and he is going to find himself in your second best army for ranged. All in all, I think very solid commander release. He's definitely going to get used a lot. I mean, it's AoE with a debuff. Like what more could you want here? I think that he is a really nice release for ranged, but you guys can let me know what you think in the comment section below. And guys, with that being said, if you made it all the way to the end of the video, consider dropping a thumbs up on it. It really helps out the channel a ton. It helps get this video out into the YouTube algorithm so other Rise of Kingdoms players might see it. And consider subscribing to the channel if you're new here. Click the bell to be notified the next time I upload a Rise of Kingdoms video, and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. This has been Omniarch. I will talk to you guys again soon. Peace.